Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space,
And I'm Bean.
and we welcome you to our show, which is a what about? Oh shit, I
Of
messed that
what about?
up. Which is about what
It's
today?
a Whataburger. Today we are talking about hobbies.
God.
You know, Space, I think my favorite thing about starting the show is not only when you mess up a little bit, it's when right when you're about to say welcome to, you go welcome to. I know you edited it out, but like
I do.
for those who don't know, before Space starts the show, he goes like
It's like a deep breath in.
it's just like a little wheeze sound.
I have like a little bit of a wheeze, I do, so God.
Oh man.
That was all the times that I mess up. Felix is like, people mess up words more often. You're thinking like, not like I do. Jeez.
It's okay. We love it.
So what is a hobby?
God. Okay, so like the literal definition of hobby is an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. All right, and there's something about hobbies that I think are kind of cursed within my generation, at least. We're both millennials, Space, so our generation.
Yep.
Is I think our generation will mistake hobbies as something they have to make money with. But no, the literal definition is something you do in your leisure time for pleasure. So that's the literal definition of a hobby.
What about like pleasuring yourself?
I don't think
say it.
I don't think a masturbation addiction is considered a hobby.
I'm just putting it out there.
If it is, after that whole Pornhub sweep, definitely sucks now for you.
Oh my God, that was so upsetting. If you guys didn't know, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are younger listeners, so you're going to get educated really quick here. Pornhub has had some issues with things, and so to get themselves out of the hole that they were in, they decided to wipe a well around, I think, it's like 1.2 million videos of porn off their site, and everyone else also decided to follow suit as well. So all of my favorite things that I like to follow no longer exist anymore. So thank you.
Yep. They got rid of anything that wasn't from a verified account, which I understand why they did it. It was just very, I don't know, verified accounts are all fake. If I wanted to watch fake shit, then I would watch TLC or something.
I like watching like not BMX, but like motorbiking. So if you really think that the person that's obviously 6 foot tall is an 8-year-old, what's wrong with you? Because that's what it was. It was a lot of child.
Yeah, child problems. Yeah,
child problems, and Visa was also the one that was most connected to the purchases and all that whatever shit. So whatever, Pornhub, you suck. Not literally. Yeah, because that would be. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Anyways, what is the difference between a hobby and a side hustle?
All right, so the side hustle kind of pertains to what I just said, where our generation likes to take their hobbies and turn them into something that's like a money-making thing. And that's an issue that I have. If I enjoy doing something, I'm always like, oh, I should open an Etsy shop. And it's like, no. You can do this for fun.
And not have to make money off of it.
Yeah, so the difference between a hobby and a side hustle. A hobby is something you do for fun for yourself, like in your spare time, while a side hustle is kind of like something small that you do to make money. So, for example, you can have a job working at a hospital and a side hustle making fabric masks on Etsy. But you might still have a hobby of playing video games.
This podcast is a hobby.
Yes.
So
We make
We
no
don't make
money
money
off
off.
this podcast. It is
No,
a
we do
hobby.
not.
Yeah.
It's 100% a hobby. An expensive hobby, but definitely one that I love doing. So
Mm-hmm.
money shouldn't be the
Yes.
issue.
So the furry fandom has a lot of subgenres just in general, and with that, that also means there's a lot of different hobbies you can have that connect to the furry fandom. And of course, art. Art has many forms, but art is like the main squeeze of the furry fandom. So
It
there's
literally is.
so it's like fursuit making, drawing, sculpting, plushie making, and there's
Podcasting.
also podcasting. So there's also some more vague ones like podcasting, photography, videography, pornography, writing,
Whatever. Yeah.
whatever. Like there's some primary and secondary art forms in this fandom that pertain to hobbies. There's also things like performance based hobbies. So fursuit dancers or just furry dancers in general. Doing skits. There are at furry conventions, sometimes there'll be things called masquerades where they'll have skits, or you can go to panels that are skits. Or technically doing like furry TikTok or furry YouTube. That's furry skits. Whether you have a fursuit or not doesn't matter. And then things like DJing, which can pertain to music. So these are all fandom based hobbies.
So with that being said, let's just dive right in. Fursuit making is probably one of the biggest things in the fandom among drawing, but one of the biggest things.
Yeah, fursuit making and drawing, whether it's digital or traditional. And the tricky part about fursuit making is that a lot of the times it starts off being a hobby and it steps into being a side hustle or a full hustle, just your job. So it can really teeter totter between the two. But if we can just consider this a hobby for this particular topic, it's a well more involved hobby and well more expensive hobby in the fandom. But it's still a hobby nonetheless. Right behind fursuit making, or I mean, behind it doesn't matter, but right behind that is drawing. And there's so many different types of drawing. It would take a whole season just to go through them. But you have your digital art, traditional art, and traditional art can go into a lot of different categories. Like I know, Space, you really like watercolors, don't you?
Oh, I love watercolors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big traditional artist, so I like that kind of stuff.
Yes, I do want to get back into traditional art. That even goes into things as strange as tattooing. I know 1 year at FWA, I don't remember what year it was, but in the back of the dealer's den, there was a few booths set up for a furry tattoo company. And they had
Oh.
appointments. Like they had everything sterilized and they had some flash books you can go through. So even, traditional art can go as far as to, body alterations. And then there's things like sculpting, which I would still consider kind of like a traditional art. It's not drawing per se, but it's still a lot of physical, hands-on kind of artwork. I know Moth Sprout right now, which is a fairly popular artist in the fandom who does digital art. They have started doing a lot of ceramic work and sculpting work, and I've been really enjoying that as well, and the wood burning that they've been posting too. Those are really cool. And then there's another artist, I don't remember their name, but they make ceramic pipes of people's personas. That's really dope.
That's cool.
Yes.
So I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How many fursuit makers do you think there are in existence right now?
Oh my god. There would be too many
answer.
to count if you just counted anybody who made a fursuit. You know what I mean? If you mean like somebody who is like open for commissions, posting at least monthly, probably in the hundreds.
Fursuit makers that are established online as if they're an actual business.
Probably around 100 or so. Established as an actual brand business, I would say around 100 or so.
Higher.
Higher than that? Maybe 300?
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As of January 21st, 2021, there are 338 registered fursuit makers.
Dang, that's crazy.
You, according to Alphabetical, your fursuit is 204 on the list.
Dagum.
Hey. I'll just put that so you can see it in the notes. You can look at it if you're curious.
That's fun. I didn't know there was a list.
I didn't know either. I was literally
Oh,
typing in
Fursuit Reviews. Yeah, I love that
fursuit reviews
website.
or fursuit makers, and I'm just like, I wonder how many out there is. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. There's lots and lots in there.
Yes. There's also a lot of like soft sculptures. So that's stuff that's made out of fabric but still considered a sculpture. So like the big thing in the fandom, plushies. You have some plushies.
Oh.
Did Curtis make them?
Yeah, so Curtis actually made a crochet knit of my persona, and then he made a version of his which is a lot smaller. And so when I go on vacation, I usually take his with me so that I have him with me if I'm not with him in general. But it's really cool the way he did it because most if you see like plushies these days, they're usually looking like traditional stuffed animals and whatnot, but his was really unique. I'll see if I
Yeah.
can get a picture and I'll put it in the stuff, the information. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In our
Yeah.
little descriptions. So plushie making is a really fun one. I know I'm personally working on a plushie project that is a giant dog mouth, basically. And it's going to be kind of like a stem toy, so it's going to have a lot of textures and things going on. I just started the sculpt of it, so it's going to be a while until that's going to be up on auction. But that's something I'm experimenting with currently, is plushie making.
It's not something that I would probably go into, mostly because I'm really bad at sewing. I like more when it comes to sewing, folks. It's either the liquid stitch or the iron-on patches. But I'm not really good at sewing, so I'm not that big into that.
You know,
Um,
that reminds me, the liquid stitch kind of reminded me of like iron on patches, I guess. And how I wonder how many people out there make like furry clothing as a hobby. Because I know there are businesses out there like Hyena Agenda or whatever, but I wonder
oh
how many people
yeah,
just make, their own patches or whatever as a hobby. Because right now I'm working on a punk jacket that's werewolf themed.
well there was Kitty Loves Monster, but then they kind of went out of business.
Oh yeah.
I like Kitty Loves Monster. That was a really cool brand. A lot of drama in that one. If you ever want to just, if you're bored one day and you just kind of want to look at drama, go look up Kitty Loves Monster.
I have no
Lots of
idea what happened there actually.
I believe it was internal issues.
Mm.
Bum bum bum.
The other hobby we mentioned was photography and videography, and I feel like these two are so underrated in the fandom. Like,
Yeah.
because our fandom really relies a lot on social media presence and videos for entertainment or for viewing, fursuits or anything like that, or
Very much a visual
conventions.
aspect.
Yes, or conventions. And so many people will just, ignore the artists behind the camera just to enjoy what they post. And it's really sad that that's such an important aspect of the furry fandom online, but the people responsible for it aren't getting the credit that they deserve.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. So before smartphones, photography and videographers were still there, but they got a lot of the credit. Now that there's smartphones, everyone can access anything at any given time. It's not much credit anymore because anyone can take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that like those who are like really trained in photography. I'm just saying like in general, it's so the market's so saturated now that it's just hard to find like those who are really good at photography and those who just snapped a phone on their picture or
Mm-hmm.
snapped a picture on their phone, not a phone on their picture.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Like the very first furry convention I went to, I think it was FWA, I think like 2010 or 2011. And I remember watching a video of the fursuit parade from that year on YouTube, and it looked like it was filmed with like the oldest, just crunchiest looking. Oh, the quality was so bad. But then there were the official like YouTube video, I think from, I don't know, maybe Easy Wolf or someone like
I
that,
love Easy
or Rev
Wolf.
Fur. Maybe it was a Rev Fur video, and it was like professionally done, a really good video, of on YouTube of that convention. So it's like back then it was a lot harder. Not everybody had a good quality camera in their pocket. The videos and pictures people did take with their personal cameras were very crunchy. So the videographers got a little more credit back then, but now it's a lot harder. Not everybody can take good photos or professional photos, but photos in general are a lot more accessible nowadays.
You know, one thing I maybe could throw out there, would being a poppy fur fall under being under as a hobby?
No, I
Or is it a
guess. I
side
mean, that it
hustle?
just makes the fandom in general your hobby. So it depends on what you're doing as a poppy fur. Are you popular because you have a fursuit and you're making content with it, or are you popular because you make good art? I think your hobby stems. It's not your hobby isn't being a popular furry. Your hobby is whatever is making you popular. You know what I mean?
So I guess if you were to say like, well, if someone says like, well, fursuiting is my hobby, I guess it could be just like an extension to the hobby that you're enjoying.
Yeah. So fursuiting can totally be a hobby because that's a form of
Yeah.
performance. You know?
So yeah, okay, yeah. I just didn't really. I thought I'd just throw those in there.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. That's a good question.
I don't know if I have any other like furry related specific hobbies. I have hobbies, but they kind of like bounce around from different areas, but they're not fandom related. Other than the podcast, that's probably the only fursuit hobby I suppose I make or
Or
I
furry
do.
hobby. Yeah.
Yeah, furry hobby wise. Everything else is kind of like outside the fandom,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
is our next stepping stone.
Is hobbies outside of the fandom. Because we are a fandom podcast, but furries are people first, and our lives do exist outside of the fandom, so it's always good to involve both sides of the same coin.
And there's lots of things like outside the fandom. There's like coin collecting. There are Furby collecting.
Furby? Are you thinking of who collects Furbies and staff? Is it Deer Dog?
It's Deer Dog. Oh my god, her
Oh my
obsession.
god.
Deer Dog is obsessed with Furbies. Not like in a bad way, but just in a more comedic way. And to the point where now Boomy and I will like throw like gifs and videos and pictures into staff chat just to get a reaction from Deer Dog.
I should make them a Furby fursuit.
There is one already.
There's a few out there, yeah.
Yeah, we threw one. Oh, where is it? We were talking about Furbies, and then Deer Dog, or no, I think I linked it. I found it on Instagram. Someone made a Furby fursuit, and I'm like, dear God,
Yep.
we're screwed.
Yep. There's one on TikTok. It's yellow. It's really cute.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I love it. But there are definitely hobbies that you can partake in outside of the fandom. And I think it's good to have hobbies that aren't just furry, right?
Yeah.
Because
It's healthier that way.
Because, for example, when something like COVID happens, a lot of furry fandom is online, and there are a lot of people who don't go to conventions, but it's still a very social hobby. And I know a lot of furries are going crazy right now because they can't go to conventions, they can't go to meets, they can't hang out with their friends. They just bought a fursuit and they got it, but they can't wear it anywhere. And it's like, it makes it a big bummer. So the online part of furry becomes a lot more crucial now. But if you're a more social person like I am, then furry starts to take a step on the back burner. So it's good to have hobbies outside of that so you can make sure you're staying well rounded and you're not keeping yourself in an echo chamber that eventually just bores you to death. So exploring new possibilities that are outside of the fandom. I know for myself, something I've been doing more of is just outdoors camping, hiking, urban exploration, anything like that. Just being outside. It's cold season right now, so not as much. But once it's warm out, I'm going to be out there like kayaking and camping all the time.
Utah cannot make up its mind of what season is going to be. So like every time the weatherman's like, it's going to snow today and it's going to be huge, it rains or it's not snowing at all. And then it snows the next day. It's just, I hate weather here. It's so annoying. It's like on the
unpredictable.
Coast. You can't predict the weather when you live in a mountain valley, and you can't predict the weather. The weather, that's not a thing, but it is now.
You sound like a German.
The weather. Yeah.
The weather.
The weather on the coast, because that always changes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know this week it's supposed to be like 70 degrees, but rainy. And I'm like, it's like 30 degrees right now. I'm cold.
Right now, I'm just to double check. Weather. It is, okay, so this is literally what it says. Today, sunny. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Monday, cloudy. Tuesday, partly. Wednesday, raining. And then 2 days later on Friday, snowing. So it's just like, it never rained or snowed in November and December, and now it's deciding it wants to.
Weird.
Hate the state sometimes.
What are some other
One of
fun hobbies?
one of the hobbies that I've picked up is hair coloring. So it's not like kids these days where they kind of just color with like Kool-Aid and stuff. I actually use professional product. It started very kind of basic at the beginning. I used to buy like boxed hair colors at the store from like Clairol or L'Oreal. And I'll be honest, there's so many little components in there. It's just so much easier to buy it at like let's say Sally Beauty, or if you have a friend that has a licensed Cosmoprof, that also works as well. But I started there and I started to get more adventurous. And then I eventually made my way to Sally Beauty, where I found a whole variety of colors to play with. So I learned like the difference between like volumes, because you have to use a developer to make it so that the colors bloom. There's permanent, semi permanent, demi permanent, varieties of colors. And then there's things that have to go with certain things. And so I've kind of created this hobby out of it now, where I legitimately almost every 3 weeks change my hair color. So for the longest time, it was like blue and purple or blue and pink. And I always had this iconic strip of pink down my hair that everyone at the hospital just loves. So, and now I've kind of gone into the red color. So now I've gone dark red with little pinstripes of brighter red, and then I still have that iconic strip down the middle of my head, but it's more of like a bright with a little bit of bleach in there, so it kind of brings it up a little bit. So I kind of do things there and there, and then I actually got some confidence, and I did a friend's hair, and he paid me for it.
That's
So
really cool.
yeah, but I don't do it for the money or anything. If anything, when I do coloring, if they offer to pay, it's because it's not because of anything. They're just going to pay for the supplies, not the talent that's going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not a certified licensed stylist. I just kind of do this for fun.
That's really
So
cool. I love that.
it's expensive too, just let you know. But
It
like,
can be, yeah. I know my fiance's found a new hobby in fashion and alt fashion and just taking selfies and stuff. And boy, clothes are expensive, but it's fun
hard
and it brings you confidence. And that's a fun hobby too. Just any kind of makeup, hair, outfits,
skincare products,
yeah,
which
skincare, things like
can
that.
fall into makeup, but it could also be like, peels and moisturizers and scrubs
Yeah,
and
making your own soaps and bath bombs.
oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've done bath bomb. I actually have a bath bomb kit that I bought from Michaels, and then I have a rock painting kit, which is I get becoming a thing, I suppose. Um, and then I have another one. I was telling Bean about this kind of. I have this thing called a typography book, and it talks about creating fonts and how they're made,
That's
and then
cool.
it actually has activities for you to create your own and kind of build off of it. And because I love fonts and all that fun stuff, he got that for me, so that was really exciting. So I can't wait to get into that. I'll probably get into that when I get bored of other things.
Yeah, that's
So
really cool.
I have like hobbies waiting to be discovered. They're kind of like on the shelf and they're just waiting for their turn,
Oh
essentially.
man, I'm the same way. I have so many things I'm excited to try once I finish fursuit making and have some more time after school teaching and things. Like puppet making. That's something I used to do back in high school for fun. And I want to get back into it so bad. I love puppets.
My friend's a big puppet fan.
Jim
There's a really
Henson is just my man.
There's a guy on YouTube that makes his own hand puppets, and they're really cool. And I'm just gonna see. Trying to remember
Oh,
the
is
guy.
it Barnaby Dixon?
Yeah,
I love Barnaby. I have a stuffed animal named Barnaby after him. It's that blue
his.
dragon I got while I was in Utah with you. I named
Oh,
him Barnaby.
that's cool. Yeah, his stuff is legit. If you guys want to see something
Mm-hmm.
really cool, go check out Barnaby Dixon on YouTube. He does the coolest hand puppets, and then he does them like glow in the dark or special ones, and they're so freaking cool.
Yeah, they're not like what you think where like it's a Muppet mouth. They're like intricate, small wooden and resin pieces where they
Engineered
look
like wiring. It's
yeah.
so cool. I'll drop a link in the information so you guys can grab to it because it's he's a really cool artist and he sings too. So he sings and
Mhm.
creates his own like little songs and musicals.
Yeah, his little puppet dab chick sometimes he'll sing with him too. I love that.
Let me see. What else?
Now with having
Netflix and chill
hobbies.
is not a hobby. I just want to say that.
No.
No.
Watching films and stuff can be. Like enjoying content from other people is definitely a hobby. Like if like my cousin is a big film buff and that can be your hobby, watching films, analyzing them. You don't have to write anything down. It could be all in your head, but just enjoying those kinds of things. I know my mom used to joke with me all the time. She's like, I don't have a hobby. I come home from work and I watch my shows. And I'm like, that's your hobby, is watching your shows and reading your books. And that's okay. Having hobbies outside of the fandom can also give you opportunities to make friends that are also outside of the fandom, which can be scary, especially if you think they'd be closed minded to the idea of furries. But
More
if
than likely
you,
they're not.
more than likely they're not, if you're interacting with the right kind of people, then they most likely won't care. Like I have friends in and out of the fandom, and those who are not furries are people who either understand furries and are cool with it, or it's just not, important to them, so it doesn't matter. They're like, oh, you're a furry, that's cool. But our similar interests don't involve furries, therefore it's just not something we have to talk about. So, like, for example, I have a shared friend with my fiance, and we became friends because of music and because of just general art. Not furry art, but just art in general. And that's what we talk about when we hang out. We talk about video games, we talk about music and playing instruments, and we talk about art. Like, you don't have to have friends that are all in the fandom, but you shouldn't have to fear combining those two worlds, your hobbies in the fandom or outside the fandom.
They can collide.
They can collide, then they can, because like my friends who are outside the fandom, I'm not scared to be like, hey, look at this fursuit I made recently, I'm really proud of it. They don't go, ew, I don't want to see that. No, if you
No.
have friends who say stuff like that, they're not really your friends, they're assholes. They're like, oh, that's really cool, how did you do this, or are you selling it? They may not be super knowledgeable on it, but they're supportive. And you can also do things like taking your outside of fandom hobbies and kind of sprinkling in some furry with it. You know what I mean? Like, if you like to make ceramic mugs, you can make persona based mugs and or animal themed mugs. Or if you like to go hiking and travel, bring your fursuit with you. Take photos in your fursuit at the Grand Canyon or in the redwood forest. Like, you can combine your hobbies as much or as little as you want, and you don't have to fear keeping things completely separate or doing it all together.
Also, think of it this: the fandom itself is one giant hobby. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe explore other fandoms as well.
Definitely. I know there are a lot of furries out there who also like anime and video games and oh shit, what else?
Sumo
Trains,
wrestling.
sumo wrestling,
I don't know. I just threw that one out
music.
there.
Like,
Trains. You were saying that's a big thing.
that is a big thing for some reason.
Cars,
Mm-hmm.
motorcycles, um, restoration is a small piece, but that's a really cool one to get
Oh
into.
yeah, like whenever I get my own house, I'm definitely doing a lot of furniture restorations.
Okay, this is how you know how old I am. I'm 34, truly. But I loved watching This Old House on PBS.
Yes.
It just seemed like when I was a kid, it just seemed really boring at first. But then I was just like, this is actually really cool. They don't do it anymore, but restoration is really cool.
It is really cool.
And then, of course, I got to throw out the bronies. That's also a hobby, too, if you're into that.
I mean, when we talked about earlier, watching shows can be your hobby. Shows can expand into other fandoms. Before we wrap up the show for today, we do want to go over to Twitter real quick and read some of y'all's posts on a tweet that we made about fandom hobbies and just the show topic in general. And y'all have been doing really good about interacting with us, whether it's through email or through Twitter. So keep an eye out in the description of all of our episodes. We will have our links to our social media there if you want to join in on conversations like these.
And I'm actually going to start including the conversations that we are asking people to comment on in the actual podcast information so that you can go there and see all the different things. Because sometimes there's pictures and you can't really translate a picture into podcast format. It doesn't work that way. So I did go on and I actually tweeted this the 28th. I think that's Friday. Today's 29th? No. What
Today's
day
the
is the
30th.
28th? Oh, shit. Thursday. So on Thursday, I tweeted out, what are some of your favorite hobbies and why? So we've got a couple of people. We got about 13 tweets here from Slushy Flamingo, drawing and coming up with or working on ideas for stuff because these two make me feel productive and happy. From Shard Azul, I nerd out every week playing tabletop RPGs because
Yes.
I get to role play fantastical scenarios and laugh with dorks over where the dice decide. Oh wait, over where the dice decide our fates goes. Oh, okay, so they're like a D&D kind of
Yep.
person. Do you know Deer Dog plays D&D?
I play D&D.
What?
Yes.
I don't. I can't. I'm sorry. Like, do you actually? It's been like a conversation that happens every once in a while in staff chat, but we've actually thought about creating a D&D for our podcast.
That
which
would be
I've
really fun. There are
I've never done
podcasts
it.
that are D&D campaigns.
Oh, really?
Yep, I listened to one called The Adventure Zone.
Huh. I'll have to check it out. Like, never. Sorry, it's not my thing. From Boba King, you know who that is.
Yeah, that's Jess.
Yeah. Baking, it relieves stress, and to see people enjoying what I make really makes me happy.
They are a
Cooking,
great baker. They made my birthday cake last year.
we should. Do you have a picture of it?
Oh, somewhere. It was a I really love banana pudding, so they made me a banana pudding cheesecake.
Yum.
Mhm.
I like cooking too. I like doing. I'm not good at baking. I'm just not allowed to bake. We're not. That's just the thing because I cannot bake for the life of me. But I'm really good at cooking, and I really do like that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I also love cooking. I've cooked like almost every day this week. I made wontons and egg drop soup for dinner tonight. Last night
Ooh.
I made spring rolls, but like the clear rice paper kind.
I
The
was
night
actually thinking
before I
about
made
that today.
sushi.
Sasha.
Sushi. And the night before that I made kielbasa sausage and peppers.
Kielbasa. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm sorry.
Kielbasa sushi.
From Ace of Hearts Fox, playing music in a band gives me life, and isn't exactly well. Like I cannot read tonight. I got this. Playing music in a band gives me life, and it isn't actually connected to the furry. I think it's healthy to have other interests invested as well. There you go. That
Yes.
plays into our notes. There's a communication with your bandmates through hard work and practice and excitement to playing live and not knowing what will happen.
Absolutely. Music is my family is very musical. My dad was in a heavy metal band for years and years and years, and I would go to every single concert, help them set up and break down, and I definitely understand that bond that comes with being in a band.
Um, I made a post, but you guys already know about it. It's hair coloring. Next is from Twilight Saint. They say reptile husbandry, getting to work with these beautiful animals and raise them, and also getting to educate and introduce others who may have never seen reptiles or maybe have been fearful of them. It's incredible.
Oh, that's something I didn't know about Twilight
What is
Saint.
reptile husbandry? Is that a thing?
So, yeah, it is. It's when you care for reptiles and you go that extra mile where you don't just have your animal in a tank, right? You set up an enclosure. A lot of the times they'll have bioactive enclosures where there's like live plants and springtails and isopods keeping the environment
Uh,
clean. And it's like advanced pet keeping, except you know, it's it's a very educational experience. I'm also getting into that actually because I have 3 snakes, a gecko, 3 tarantulas, frogs, all that jazz, and we're slowly working on adapting their enclosures to be bioactive as well.
I assume at this point, because she always tells me she gets something new, that your bedroom is like one giant like botanical garden.
It was when I lived with my parents. Now that we moved, we have a reptile rack in our den, and then we have one tank in our bedroom.
Nice. From Oob Schuber Novak, competitive FPSs like CSGO, that's Counter Strike Go, because for some reason getting my butt handed to me is relaxing. Don't ask me why. I love gaming. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I do game a lot. I like to play Gunfire and Borderlands 3. So if you guys play any of those on Steam, or on Epic, I would love to play with you. Um, from Aaron Prince, Reading, watching TV shows, and drawing. Even though I don't draw as much, I still enjoy it. That's good. From Koa, RC, so race cars.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's fun to build or find challenges, places to crawl and climb over. And they actually did include a picture. It looks like a real car. For a second, I thought that actually was a real car, but apparently
That's so dope.
Right. From Gavin von Blackmuzzle. I remember this one. Okay. I really like to read gay romance novels because it makes up a bit for the lack of in like real romance. So I'm so happy that there are so many gay books available nowadays. So I made a comment.
Yeah.
I made a comment on that, and I'm like, the last time we went to Barnes and Noble, we found a gay section, and then right next to it was religion. So then he was like, "Well, at least they're there. At least they're at a bookstore now."
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. From I don't know how to say this one. Syrian is alien. I really love amateur astronomy because space is neat. Thank you. I think I'm neat too. Um, I also enjoy knitting because looking at space is often cold. And so I kind of wanted to go in a little bit more into that. And I said, what is it about astronomy that you like? And they said, there's these groups you can join that let you contribute to real science. And a good number of neat discoveries have been made by amateur groups working in concert. So feels neat to be a part of it. Plus, it's peaceful, usually just a part of me and my partner in the mountains and the night sky. So that's really neat.
That's really nice.
From Rayan Carbine, photo editing and gaming, 2 things I love, and also gaming making. So I guess 3 things. And then they put a GIF in there, and it's really interesting because it's their artwork, but they somehow got graphics to move with inside the artwork, and I really want to know how they did that. So hopefully I get a reply from that. Someone asked if sleeping is a hobby, and I said yes, it is. It is in my book.
Yep.
So, and that was all the replies for this particular thread. So I'll include this in the game, or not the game information, the show information. Silly me.
That was really fun. I'm really happy that y'all are participating more in threads because Twitter threads are a really fun, easy way to get to talk with y'all to get to know more about the people who listen to our podcast.
Yeah, for sure. As usual, that's the end of our show. So if you guys like what you heard, give us an email, tell us all about it. You can find us on Twitter and on Telegram. And as we always mention, but it's pointless, we're not on Facebook, even though we're on Facebook. And yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.